there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It's properly moved and seconded to adopt the agenda. We'll do a. Okay. Ms. Hicks, could you do a roll call vote to adopt the agenda, please?
Mr. Townsend?
Aye.
Ms. Berger?
Aye.
Mr. McGee?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Ms. Farmore?
Aye.
Ms. Graves, are you on?
The agenda is adopted. 5-0. We're now going to audience comments. Do we have any audience comments? We have no audience comments.
I emailed on Friday to get to add an audience comment.
If you want to do an audience comment, it has to be pertaining to an item on the agenda.
Did you-
Which item on the agenda is it pertaining to?
Did you have it in writing?
No.
The agenda wasn't ready yet at that time.
Can I have the link to the agenda?
Excuse me?
Can I have the link to the agenda?
It's on the district
It's
website.
on the district website.
So she's not aware what topic she wants yet.
You're not aware what topic you want to talk about, ma'am?
No, I'm aware of what topic I want to talk about.
What topic is it?
But it's about extended school year services and the denial that my son received. And asking the board to draft a policy, according to DESE, to be able to address that, teacher bias and also the lack of policy within the district.
That's not on the agenda. That's not an agenda item, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
With the-
Okay, we're going to move on to the superintendent comments and talking about board docs.
All right, just for public information, we're going to be launching for the next cycle of the board a new platform, so it'll be more accessible for our community and also for our board. Ms. Hicks, do we have access to show what board docs will look like?
We
Give
do.
people- okay.
1 second, let me share.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is, can you see that?
Yes.
You need that.
I don't see it.
I see it. It's in Zoom.
Oh, it's in the Zoom, but it's not on your thing. Okay, I'll speak to it then. I see it in the Zoom, so hopefully people can hear me. You can see the platform. You'll be able to recognize this on our front page of our website. So in future, Mike, testing, can you hear me now? Can they hear me now? Can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's muted.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Okay, good. You'll be able to access this board docs on our board website, and they will have published each month the board agenda and items for the board materials. So you can see on there is itemized in terms of the order of the board meetings, and what the good feature for public is they can search up past board meetings and minutes through this platform to get information. So people who are looking for information on past minutes or items that were approved and things like that, they'll be able to go into the search mode and pull it up. And even documents and presentations that are previously presented will be on here for people to review. So just wanted to share that, let you know, look out for that. We'll probably launch that for the August meeting so people can have access to it and be able to see that. Under superintendent comments, the other thing I wanted to kind of remind people of that this weekend we have another immunization clinic at Smith Hill. So parents out there, if you need to get your child immunized, please take the opportunity to go to Smith Hill and do that. They'll be there in the mornings. And also for those who are still looking for COVID boosters, they'll have opportunities for that as well too. And that is the end of my comments, Mr. President.
Moving on to 5.0, consent items. I'm looking for an approval of the April 2022 special board meeting minutes and April 28, 22 regular session minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
President McGee,
Yes.
before we do that, I believe there's a correction to the April 20th minutes.
Okay, what's the
Under
correction?
Vice President, there seems to be a question as to who moved to nominate Graves as Vice President. It's, has question marks behind Coleman.
Okay. Ms. Coleman, did you nominate?
I did.
Okay, so that will reflect that, Madam Secretary, if you could reflect that in the minutes that Ms. Coleman did nominate Ms. Graves.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. It was moved by Ms. Berger and seconded by Ms. Coleman to approve the minutes. We'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Townsend.
Aye.
Ms. Berger.
Aye.
Ms. Barmore.
Aye.
Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
And the president votes aye. 5-0. Moving on to new business, we'll have a presentation of the tax levy from the superintendent and his staff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I have our staff come up, Director Wiltsey, Executive Director Robinson, and Assistant Superintendent Klappmeyer, right? Ms. Wiltsey, I think, do we have a third party here for our presentation today?
Yes, Hardwick Law Firm is here with our bond counsel and team.
Okay, excellent. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for coming today and following our proceedings. If I could have someone load the deck, please.
If our guests from the Harvard Law Firm, you can come sit up here if you'd like as well. Come to the table up here.
Okay, go to the beginning. Can you go to the first slide? Now, I see it on the screen here, but I don't see it on my screen, so people at home able to see it, gentlemen?
Yeah, we're sharing out my screen right now.
Okay. 'Cause I can't see it from here. So I'm gonna proceed, you guys ready? I'm gonna proceed on. Interest of time.
Go ahead.
Can I go? Okay. We're bringing this to you from behalf of the board executive had asked staff to look at an opportunity for tax levy and bond priorities for the district. We're in a situation where we do have some needs, and this is a strategy that will give us the kind of financial resources to move our district into the next level. If you go into the next slide. You want to put it on slide mode? Okay. So basically, you know, we're really targeting our priority needs. This is not just a want list, like we're just not doing this because we think we want to have some fancy things, but these are needs that we need in order to keep the district moving in the right direction and support our strategic direction in academics around accreditation as well too. So next slide. So there, you're going to see in this presentation two components. One is around the tax levy opportunity, and that's really targeted at investing in our staff. We want to stay competitive for salaries for our staff. As you know, last year we did make some significant increases for our teacher staff as well as our other staff. But of course, the surrounding districts also increased their salaries. So we went from being one of the top always and then got knocked back down to the middle again because it's sort of a competitive thing. Once people see that, okay, we have a certain salary and they move it up. So we want to have put a plan in place that we can continuously be at the top end and attract highly qualified staff, right? So you'll see that present in the presentation. The other part of the presentation is around the bond capacity overview. So we have a need, we do have a bond that we're completing in terms of renovation and some deferred maintenance, and we're almost finished that. We'll finish that this year. But going forward, we do have a middle school reorganization project that we need funds to support. We do need to continue the work on all of our schools, and we need to look at some of our vacant schools that we currently have sitting. We got to do something with them in terms of a master plan, in terms of strategically how do we use them to benefit the district, and how does the community see that we can benefit from that. Okay, next slide. All right, next slide. So this is the investing in the salaries piece. So I talked about the competitive piece for our staff, and there's two components here. We are talking about teacher salary improvements. We want to improve the salaries for all our teachers, for sure, to be at the top, so we can be, the employer of choice in the region. But at the same time, we have to recognize we have non-certified staff, and probably the majority of our staff are non-certified. We want to ensure that we improve those salaries. So non-certified are people you might see in our schools, our office clerks, assistants. You might see nutrition services working. You see custodial staff, all the people that help sort of make up what our schools do. So we've estimated approximately $5 to $6 million, probably more than $6 million, in order to make a significant improvement in all of our salaries in order to be competitive in the current market. Okay, next slide. And I'll turn it over to Director Wiltsey.
Good evening, Board. Okay. So we did a few scenarios on what it would look like if we did an increase to our general levy. The first scenario, and all of this is based on the 2021 assessed value, since we haven't received the current assessed value. So at a 1.25 increase to our general levy, we would bring in about 6.7 million. With the 1.30, we would bring in about 6.9. And then with the 1.35, we would bring in a little over 7 million, 7.2.
Next slide.
So looking at those amounts that Ms. Wiltsey provided you, we ran some drafts of the teacher salary schedule. So in that first column, you're going to see our current ranking. Yes.
Mr. Clark, is it possible to enlarge that screen there? Some of us have old eyes here. You need to get rid of the other box there and just make it a little larger, because I know we have some board members are looking. We've got lots of screens out in the audience, but is it possible to do that? Oh, thank you. I feel better already. There we go. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so on that first column, you will see our current ranking. So this is among 12 metro area school districts. So we are 11th and starting, 11th in the master's degree, step 10, and that's purposely picked because for the majority of teacher salary schedules, we call that the midpoint of a teacher salary schedule, and then our highest. And as Mr. Obing said, we made an investment, a 2-year plan where next year is year 2, and already those where we projected we'd be in those first 2 has slid. Going across, you can see what it would look like based on draft teacher salary schedules that we have put together, where we would place based on a 1.25 levy, a 1.3, and a 1.35. Because as Ms. Wiltsey alluded to, the amount of money we would be bringing in increases, and so we're able to increase the amount that we're putting in each of those cells. So the 1.53 levy based on the draft that we have working will get us into first place of the metro area districts in all 3 of those touch points for comparison.
Thank you. Next slide.
As Mr. Obing alluded to, this would be inclusive of improving our non-certified salary schedules also. So we have worked to improve those. We came to a 2-year agreement with AFT that represents our clerical staff, our paraprofessionals, and our custodians last year. That next year will be year 2 of that. I provided a couple of examples on the next slide. And our goal with all of these salary schedules would be to be in the top quarter of metro area districts in terms of comparison. So on the next slide, you'll see a couple of examples. One is our nutrition service salary comparison. So you have a picture of all of the positions that we currently have and the current pay rate and where we rank among those districts. Behind the scenes, we have been working on a plan to increase those. What the passage of a levy would accelerate the increase that we would be able to provide in terms of an hourly rate. On the paraprofessional, again, came to an agreement with AFT last year, so next year it goes from 16 to 16.50, and you can see this is the current rate. So next year that would put us in 3rd place if no one else, for example, Grandview or Early Summit, anybody makes any investment to move forward, that would eclipse where we fall in comparison on the paraprofessional schedule. This last slide, Ms. Wiltsey put together to give you a benchmark of if you had a 125, if you had a 135, what would that be for our patrons? What would the actual cost be to the patrons in our district in terms of the investment they would be making towards us improving and attracting the best staff to be before our students and working with our students every day in the district? And so this slide gives you just an idea of what that would look like for the patrons that we all serve.
Hi, good evening, Board. As Superintendent Obeng mentioned in the introduction, the second part of a past levy, we would seek to continue improving programs and facilities that support our students and community. Next slide, please. With those, as Superintendent Obeng mentioned, we are looking to renovate a site for our middle school program and project that would serve as a second middle school site for our students. We would also be looking to continue renovation to our facilities for students to receive their education in state-of-the-art classrooms and facilities. And also, we have 3 vacant sites that we're looking to move or demolish as being a part of the community to bring improvement back to those areas. And then a priority is also to ensure that we have community usage space for the programs that are also supporting the broader community and families for our school district.
So in the general obligation bond, there is a process. So the board's process for this is the ballot language, which you will approve this evening. The community committee to promote the bond once it's been on the ballot for election, and then the facilities master plan that we will come up with going forward on what we're going to do with the bond. The bonding capacity is $21.7 million with our assessed valuation right now of 2021. So we're looking at doing a $20 million no tax increase bond for the August election.
Next slide. And so, Mr. President, we leave you here with the recommendation for board for discussion and approval. So I'll leave that to you whether if you want to have a discussion first or put the recommendation on the table before discussion.
I'll put the recommendation on the table first, and we'll have a discussion based on that. Is there a motion or a motion on the table from the recommendation from the superintendent from the board?
I motion. Motion to approve.
Can I read that?
You said read that?
Yes.
Recommendation that the HMC1 School Board approve resolution and ballot language for a tax levy increase 1.35 for August 2nd, 2022 elections. Please move all of it.
It's fine. That's good. Okay. It's been properly moved and second that we have. Well, can I finish first?
Somebody already seconded down
She already seconded down there. So thank you. I appreciate that. It's been moved and seconded that the HM1 School Board approve resolution and ballot language for tax levy increase at 1.35 for the August 2nd, 2022 election. Any discussion based on this on this motion? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
I have a question.
Hold on. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I'm just telling him he could go.
Well, I have to recognize you, so go ahead. Go ahead, Director Berger.
Okay. My question is, right now with the housing market the way it is, the values of the properties in our communities have gone up double, sometimes more than double, which is going to increase the tax levy already. And so have you looked at or guesstimated what additional revenues that would bring in already?
With the correction in the assessed value for Jackson County, we had a 25% increase in assessed value without the COVID and without all of the issues and the price increases. If there is an increase in assessed value, I don't expect it to be much higher than what it is right now, but that's just a projection that I have. So.
Director Townsend.
Yes, when was the last levy change for district?
Last vote on a levy, you mean?
Yeah.
'Cause we-
To go over,
When did we last approve a levy?
to go over the cap or just to approve a levy?
To go over the cap.
Over the cap.
That was before my time. So that was more than 17 years ago.
So it's been almost 20 years.
Yes,
Okay.
at least.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Well, I don't know if you know this. What, as far as inflation, do you know what the current cost of living index increase is at this time, or what are we looking at?
I know for 2021, it was 2.1%, but I'm not sure. I have not seen the numbers yet for 2022.
So it went up 2.1, and we're asking 1.4.
That was the CPI, the cost, yeah,
Okay.
Consumer Price Index.
Any other comments or questions? Madam Secretary, we're going to call for the roll. Mr.
Can I-
Townsend.
Just before you do that, can I just have a question from bond counsel? Would it be advisable that we read the ballot language as well, or we got enough to cover it?
We'd appreciate your considering a resolution calling the special election on a tax levy question in the district.
Okay, so we should
So
read. so we should-
we're good.
We're good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Mr. Townsend?
Are we gonna, what's,
This not there. Resolution for the tax levy.
Ballot language and just read the caption.
Okay, so it is, okay, so then it is attached. The
It is-
ballot
yeah,
language
yeah,
and-
It's attached.
It's attached.
She
right
said
there.
the tax language here.
Yeah, that document is attached. That's the
It's
attachment.
attached to the ballot.
I just want to know if you want us to actually read it out,
Yes.
but
Yes.
we're good. Okay, good.
Mr. Townsend?
aye.
Ms. Berger?
Aye.
Ms. Barmore?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
Ms. Graves? Ms. Graves? She's on. Ms. Graves, are you voting?
Oh, yeah, she said yes.
Is she mute?
Yes, she said yes. Okay. And President McGee votes yes. It approves on a 6-0. We're now going to go to the second question of the having a no tax increase bond. Is there a motion or recommendation for the no tax increase bond, which is the number 2 item on the recommendation?
Okay, I move that the Hickman Middle School Board also approves a resolution and ballot language for no tax increase bond for the August 2nd election.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded, moved by Director Townsend, seconded by Director Barmore. Is there any discussion on the no tax increase bond for the August 2nd, 20 election for 2022? Is there any discussion or questions?
Does that max? Oh,
Yes, Director Townsend.
does that max?
It does not. We're only asking for 20 million for a no tax increase bond. So it does not.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions? I'm now going to call for the vote. Director Barmore.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Graves. Director Berger.
Aye.
Director Townsend?
Aye.
President McGee votes aye on a 6-0 decision. This passes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
can I ask bond counsel the same question that superintendent asked on the previous question, to make sure that we don't need the resolution, the actual language read for this one either?
Madam Counsel, our counsel's asking, do we need to read the language for this or the no tax increase bond?
The resolution,
Just reading the caption.
So we just need to read the caption is enough, is what she said.
It's inserted.
okay, so we didn't
Back
read
up to
the
the
caption, but
top.
I guess.
Right there under the line, I think is what you're.
Resolution calling a special election.
Okay,
Just scroll, can you scroll to the bottom? It's on the bottom. Keep going.
which section?
Resolution.
It was at the top.
The very top.
Right.
The boldface cap at the top.
At the top?
You're right there, it says question.
Oh, to borrow 20,000, that one? Section
This
1?
bold lettering right here.
Are you talking section 1?
Be it resolved.
Yes.
Be it resolved. Be it resolved is the section.
Back up to the top.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Madam Secretary, could you read the be it resolved section, please?
Be it resolved by the Board of Education of Hickman Mills C-1 School District of Jackson County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the Board of Education Hickman Mills C-1 School District of Jackson County, Missouri finds it necessary and hereby declares its intent to borrow $20 million for the purpose of constructing, improving, renovating, or demolishing, repairing, furnishing, and equipping certain existing school facilities, and to evidence such borrowing by the issuance of general obligation bonds of the district in the amount of $20 million. Section,
That's enough.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to the financial updates on 6.2.
That's me, okay.
And, I'm sorry, before you do that, I apologize. I just wanted to make sure from bond counsel that they don't need anything else, that we've got everything we need to
Yeah.
get to the Board of Elections.
Ma'am, do we need anything else in terms of getting this to the Board of Elections? Are we good on our end?
We'll need to get the copies of these resolutions, and Shelley and I will work out the language and signatures on that. We have until the 24th of,
We got a little time. Okay.
days.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Wilksey, go ahead.
Right. Okay, we'll be pulling up the budget variance reports. And under the financial reports, you'll see that you have your bills to be approved, your contract, your running list of contracts, the budget and variance report. There's the preliminary budget for next year, along with the salary charts and the contracts that have already been for next year moving forward. So you'll see as of April 30th, we are all in the green on our revenue. If you scroll down just a little bit for me, you'll see we're also in green on our expenditures. If you go, is there a page 2 on this one? Yes. Okay. So that leaves us right now standing with the fund balance of 53.15. And down below, you'll see how those numbers came. So you'll see what we started the year with, our expected revenues, our expected expenditures, less our capital transfer, which gives us the remaining balance, which makes up that 53.15 fund balance. Okay. If you go to the next presentation, the preliminary budget. So this is the preliminary budget for 22-23. Right now, I'm still using the 53.15 for spending as of July 1, and we will be amending the budget, and you'll have another adoption in September when the tax levy comes through in the assessed value. So again, these are just the numbers on how I came up with the 53.15. If you go to the next slide, and attached to this PowerPoint were the salary charts for 22-23 and the 22-23 contracts. So the recommendation is the approval of the 22-23 preliminary budget. the 22-23 salary charts, and the 22-23 contracts.
Is there a motion to approve the preliminary budget, salary charts, and contracts from the board?
I move to, for the approval of the preliminary budget for 2022, 2023. Also, salary charts for 2022, 23, and contracts.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the 2022-2023 preliminary charts, preliminary budget, salary charts, and contracts. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Director Berger.
I pulled up the agenda the other day so I could study and review everything that was attached. Some of these items were not attached. So may I ask when they were attached to the agenda?
Ms. Wilson.
They were attached to the agenda yesterday afternoon about 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
So let me just clarify around that. So this additional piece is authorization that the Director Wilson needs to continue the operations of our district until the board gets the actual budget, which will be in September. This is just preliminary. So this is through the summer, so we can continue to pay our staff and do the things we need to do. But you'll get the actual budget in September. She'll say, this is the actual, and at that point, she'll have all the revenues that are coming to us at this point. Okay,
thank
just to clarify.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion?
I'm sorry. I also need the approval of the financial updates as well, so I didn't know if we wanted to do that as a separate item since we did that, or.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that as a separate item.
Okay, thank you.
Calling for the vote. Director Barmore.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Graves. Director Berger.
Aye.
Director Townsend.
Aye.
And I vote yes. It's 6-0. We will now move on to the financial.
Updates, which I discussed earlier, the budget variance
I
reports.
need a recommendation to approve the financial updates for 2020.
What is that,
What?
This is as of the end of April.
As of the end of April.
I move that we approve the financial updates
Second.
up until the.
Sorry.
Just said the April 2022.
Up until April 2020.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Calling for the vote. Director Barr.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Berger. Director Graves. Director Berger.
Aye.
Director Townsend.
Aye.
The president votes aye. Approved 6-0.
Thank you.
Now we're going on to the board calendar. We usually do this every year. We have to vote to approve our calendar for the year based on our schedule, and my recommendation is that we continue with our current schedule that we have had this past year, meeting on the fourth Thursday of the month, and this schedule is in line with that. And of course, we will have special meetings as need be based on if the superintendent arises or needs us to meet on a special item like we have to do today to get this on the August ballot for the bond and levy campaign. Is there any discussion based on the calendar that you have before you? I did want to point out to the board that we have planned our date selected for our retreat of August 12th, 13th, and 14th. That is tentative. We have worked that out with the superintendent and his staff on their schedule. So if you have any issues with that, please let us know as soon as possible. But we wanted to give the board members plenty of notice about the board retreat in August. Also, just to note, there is a MSBA summer conference coming up, and several of our board members will be going to that in June. Is there any other discussion about the board agenda, about the calendar, or our meeting time continuing on, meeting on the fourth Thursday of the month? I'm looking for a motion to approve our board calendar.
I move that we approve the board calendar.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the board calendar based on what we have presented to us. Is there any discussion? Now calling for the vote. Director Townsend.
Aye.
Director Berger.
Aye.
Director Barmore.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Graves. And the president votes aye. Approved 6-0. We're now moving to item 6.4. I am going to be sending out to the board tomorrow a email to all board members on our committees that we have. We have functioning committees as a board. I'm going to ask that each board member please read that email thoroughly, because what I'm going to do is ask you for your top 2 committee assignments, and then based on that, I will make appointments and appoint chairmen or chairwomen of the chairpersons of those committees, and then we'll ask people to serve on those committees. These will be functioning committees that will do preliminary work and keeping the business of the district going before it gets to the full board. So please keep a lookout for that today. There are 5 committees that you can select, and we're asking for you to select your top 2 committees. I will send that out in an email tomorrow that you have that. So I wanted to make you all aware of that. Are there any questions about that? Okay, moving on to item 6.5, the bond update. Marquise Canyon, you can go ahead and present before the board.
Mr. Robinson?
It's his first reading.
No, Skinner's got it.
Oh, okay, okay. I was like, I don't have them. Okay. Making sure.
I think we have the PowerPoint already, right? Is he not on? I see him on here. You want to do for this item, Mr. President? We'll come back to it once we can reach Mr. Cannon.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the first reading of policies. Is Dr. Skinner here?
Paging Dr. Skinner. Paging Dr. Skinner.
Dr. Skinner, I'm asked, could you read very fastly? Yeah, be an auctioneer.
I've tried that before. I was no good at it. Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the first reading policy update. You have had this. I hope you had a chance to kind of go through it. It's really just updates of policies that already exist. I'm going to kind of go to the second page and just kind of read the policy and kind of the foundation of what's different. So on EBBC, lactation support, MSBA has expanded this policy to allow members of the public to use lactation facilities in accordance with another Missouri law, and this is required by the district to adopt the policy before July 1st, 2022. The next one is an administrative procedure about governance and security, EHBC, and I included that just so you'd be in the loop. That procedure is updated to include a requirement regarding data breaches involving student information, which must be reported to parents, DESE, and the state auditor. GBBDA, family and medical leave. This change is for all medical or Family Medical Leave Act purposes except military caregiver leave. The district adopts a rolling 12-month period measured backward from the date of any FMLA leave usage. Each time an employee takes FMLA leave, the remaining leave is the balance of the 12 weeks not used during the 12 months immediately before the FMLA leave is to start. And then GCBDA and GDBDA basically are the same thing, except one is for certified and one is for classified. And basically, these policies were modified to create a new type of leave for victims of domestic or sexual violence. Such leave applies to employees and families, household members, and all current employees and new hires must be notified of the available leave. JGA, corporal punishment. This was changed to mirror modifications in policy JGGA. And JGGA, seclusion and restraint, basically this is a title change because isolation was not addressed in the law. So basically isolation is being removed. And this must be modified and adopted before July 1st, 2022. And the last one is JHCD, administration of medication to students. It's been modified primarily to address medical marijuana, which is not allowed, and CBD oil, which is allowed under certain circumstances. That's the highlights. The 63 pages, I don't know if you went through it. You know, the copies that I gave you were struck out in red and different colors to kind of show the changes in more detail. Due to the fact that 2 of these need to be adopted by July 1st, 2022, I would ask that the board waive their policy of having 2 readings and go ahead and approve it tonight.
Is there a motion to waive our policy to approve these rule changes tonight? Is there a motion amongst the board?
I move that we, waive, what is the policy number that has second readings?
Madam General Counsel, what is that policy?
Give me a second, it's gonna take me a second to look it up.
I'm sorry, I should have had that policy written.
You don't know that by heart?
I don't know it by heart.
I don't know by heart. My computer's moving slow. Hold on. It is
Okay.
BF,
Say that again.
BF.
Policy
Mr.
BF.
Townsend, it's policy BF.
BF?
Yep.
I move that we, what was
Suspend.
suspend policy BF and the second reading of the amended policy presented by Dr. Skinner.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Now calling for the roll. Director Barr.
Aye.
Director Coleman.
Aye.
Director Graves. Director Graves?
She said aye.
Okay. Director Berger?
Aye.
Director Townsend?
Aye.
The president votes aye, approve 6-0.
Thank you.
We're now going to move on to future board agenda items.
Oh, no, we've got,
We got marquee.
no, we've
No.
got, we've got, 6 point,
What?
Yeah, you skipped to
6.7.
I don't have it on.
You got the wrong one. The 6.
I don't have, I have.
6.7 is, it's on the website.
It's not on my agenda. It's not on my agenda. so. Yeah, Mr. Bean didn't put a sticky note on here.
All right. Good evening again, board. What's coming down is we realized the wrong board memo got uploaded related to the teacher agreement. So this is the correct one. The one is from actually last year's, but the agreement that was uploaded is the correct one. Before I go into it, I just want to acknowledge that Ms. Hale, who is the president of the HMNEA, is present this evening back there for our new board members who may not have met her before. And so I'll briefly just go through, just for our 2 new board members, we go through a collective bargaining process with 3 units each year. HMNEA represents our teacher unit, which Ms. Hale is the president of, and then we also have the parents as teachers unit. So we went through the negotiation process this spring. During that time, in closed session, we inform the board of where we're at and what things are on the table along with council, and then ultimately we come to an agreement at the end of the process. So what's captured in the changes in the teacher unit for this year are the 2 items we had talked to you about pay related to teachers covering unfilled substitute positions, and also the administration of 3 bereavement days. We had a policy of providing 3 emergency. The new agreement will provide staff 3 bereavement days upfront as needed. And so those 2 components are included in the new agreement. We also came to terms on a 3-year agreement, so the unit can bring forth 2 work conditions and the financial component, each of those 3 years going forward. So the recommendation from the superintendent is to approve the HMNEA teacher unit as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the adoption of the collective bargaining agreement. Is there any discussion? Director Townsend.
Aye.
Director Berger.
Aye.
Director Barmore.
Aye.
Director Graves. Director Coleman.
Aye.
And the president votes aye, approve 6-0.
Next one is the parents as teachers. They did not request to negotiate any items in their agreement this year. What we did was apply the bereavement clause to their agreement as exactly worded in the teacher. So we'll also be added, but otherwise there are no changes in the parents as teachers. And both of these for new board members, there's no salary discussion because with both units we came to a 2-year agreement last year, so next year is year 2 of that salary agreement.
Is there a motion to approve the parents as teachers or unit agreement for 2022, 2023?
So moved.
No. Huh? What'd you say? She said so. Oh, okay. Is there a second? I didn't hear you, sorry.
Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Director Townsend?
Aye.
Director Berger?
Aye.
Director Barmore?
Aye.
Director Coleman?
Aye.
Director Graves? And President votes aye. Approved 6-0.
Thank you, board.
Okay, now moving on to the future board agenda items. Does anybody have any future board agenda items? Okay. I'm now looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. President,
Uh-huh.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute 610.021, 3, and 13.
And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed?
You do a roll call when you're going into closed session.
Director Barmore,
Aye.
Director Coleman,
Aye.
Director Townsend, Director Berger,
Aye.
Director Graves, and President votes aye. Going into closed session 6-0. Is there a motion to go back into open session?
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded.
Second.
We're going to go back in open session. Mr. Townsend? Ms. Berger?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Ms. Barmore?
Aye.
Ms. Coleman?
Aye.
President votes aye. We're back in open session. We were just in closed session, which we, I guess, what did we do? We are now done concluding our board meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Mr. Townsend. Ms. Berger.
Aye.
Ms. Barmore.
Aye.
Ms. Graves. I think she's gone. Okay, and Ms. Coleman.
Aye.
And the president votes aye. We are now adjourned at 7:05.
I think technically, look at this.
If we're out,
If we're finished.